And Brandon Rhymes here in studio with Rebecca Vazquez, HomeRiver Group. She's our property management expert contributor. We're going to be diving into that here in just a moment. Also talk a little bit about the technology in real estate. Before we do, we always like to feature our real estate listings live on air. The Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty and Livian Coastal Elite is our new brand through Keller Williams. We like to feature our real estate properties as ways to help our sellers sell faster for more money. If you're thinking about selling a property, we'd love to talk to you and feature your listing live on air as well. 15900 Oakcrest Circle in Brooksville. We've got a great listing here up in Brooksville. This is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath property, 3-car garage. And what I love about this area is that, you know, it seems the further you go north in a lot of cases, or, you know, out of the main areas in Tampa Bay, is that you're getting larger lots, a larger home, larger bedrooms, larger kitchens. 15900 Oakcrest Circle in Brooksville, beautiful property. You got a sprinkler system and a generator as well. That's the generator is a propane generator hooked up directly to the electrical box. So it's a great opportunity to own a beautiful home at Oakcrest Circle in Brooksville. Another property that we have listed here as 14 Baywood Drive, Palm Harbor. 14 Baywood Drive in Palm Harbor, completely renovated and updated home, 4 bedrooms, 3 bath, 3-story home, wood-burning fireplace, vaulted ceilings, and a pool. Now, what I love about this community as well is that you have a water front, call it a boat ramp community. So you can back your boat down and go out into the Gulf of Mexico and enjoy that lifestyle, that Florida lifestyle. Go out there and go fishing and maybe some skiing out there. So you have a community boat ramp and boat docks. 2913 square feet, 14 Baywood Drive, Palm Harbor, Florida. You can see all of our listings on PlatinumCoastalElite.com. And quick shout out to Discovery Golf Cars, longtime friends of the program. They hooked me up with a beautiful Keller Williams Red Easy Go golf cart. They also have other brands. They've got new and used. And I noticed a new location up in Pasco yesterday. I was driving back from a new listing I just took up in Hernando Beach. But they've got a Pasco location now. So they've got Clearwater, Tampa, which is over there by the Land O'Lakes area. DiscoveryGolfCars.com. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Go say hello to Ethan and his team over there. Let them know that you heard them about right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, Rebecca Vazquez, welcome back in.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah. So, yeah, what's happening in your industry? I know there's a lot happening in a lot of different industries, you know, especially, you know, relating to the, you know, the commercial rates and the interest rates going up. We just talked to Jerry about how that's affecting his business with the on the solar industry, the solar side. What are you seeing in your industry?
Well, the summer's been good. It's always a hot market for people moving. Kids are out of school, so families are looking for houses. So it's always a good rental market. It's still staying the same. We still have a lot of investors coming to Florida, so not a lot of changes yet.
Yeah, so investors coming into Florida, they buy an asset and they say, look, I don't want to manage this myself. That's when they would turn to you.
Correct. So a lot of people are moving money, say from New York, California, doing 1031 exchanges, buying down here because we are a really landlord-friendly state. So, and we do still have, obviously, the prices are lower than they are in the other states. So therefore, it is a great market still.
So when you say landlord-friendly state, what's an example of that, or how would you cite that?
So here evictions are pretty quick. Technically, most of them do go through if people haven't paid. There's very little fighting that you can do. Same with security deposit claims, stuff like that. If you have proof, they're going to, you know, the courts are going to stand by the landlord side unless the tenants can actually prove that the landlord hasn't done something where there's a reason they, you know, haven't paid rent. Maybe they haven't had air conditioning, stuff like that.
Right.
But usually there's other routes you can take, calling the health department, stuff like that.
Right.
So those really aren't excuses. You have to give them time to fix things, but at least report it through the right avenues rather than stop paying your rent.
Right. Yeah, I've heard those different scenarios over the years about, you know, in the AC stopped working, the landlord wouldn't fix it. And what's a reasonable expectation in a case like that?
Usually, you know, you do need to respond within 24 hours, especially for an AC and this type of weather. But, you know, as the economy has been, there's parts that are delayed. As long as, you know, we have somebody out there and they're saying this is ordered, there's nothing that we can do.
Right.
But if we're just ignoring it, then, yes, they do have reason. But if you're waiting for a part and we have proof that we are, then it's just a waiting. It's the same thing if we own a house. It's
Right.
just a waiting process.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And, a challenge for landlords, too, big challenge was back when COVID first hit, the Chinese Communist virus that came across it put landlords in a tough position. I imagine, we didn't talk back then, on the show about it. We didn't have that relationship. But what did you see, and how did people navigate that?
It was much more difficult. Like, we had 2-month delays on parts at one point, so it has thankfully picked up from there and unfortunately, that does affect some of the reviews on our website was from some of that time.
Right.
Because if we're waiting for a part, you're sitting in the heat. I mean, it's just how it is.
Right.
And we would even call other companies, can you get it? And they're like, it's back ordered. It was the same thing.
Yeah.
So thankfully, we've gotten out of the worst of it, but there still is the delays. It's not back to how it used to be.
Yep.
Who knows if it will ever be, but it still
Right.
has affected us to some limit.
Yeah. We're talking with Rebecca Vazquez here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. HomeRiver Group is the company name. Property management is the game, so to speak. When we look at this landlord-tenant relationship, I want to go back. I want to say in that era there of 2020 with the COVID-19 virus, that was very challenging for landlords, right? Because they the federal government comes out and says, oh, well, we're going to allow tenants not to pay for, it ended up being a pretty extended period of time, didn't it?
It was,
From what I
but
recall.
I mean, I do feel like the news exaggerated it to some levels, though.
Really?
Like, we had people call us, do I need to pay my rent? Well, of course you have to pay your rent. Do you have any financial difficulties? Did you lose your job? And we would step them through that. And overall, it was no, I'm still making the same. I'm just working from home. So,
Got
yes,
it.
you still have to.
Yep.
But, I mean, I do think, all the talk was that you didn't have to pay. The landlords weren't getting paid. We kept expecting our vacancy to drop, or not our vacancy, our delinquents, I'm sorry.
Delinquency, yep.
To totally drop, and they never did. We never got under the 90s, and we just the next month it's going to hit us. The next month it's going to hit us.
Right.
And we didn't have a lot of people waiting for evictions. We did have some that signed up for the state programs and got funding, and that did take some time.
Yep.
But as long as the landlord was willing to wait for it, and there were people that obviously did lose their jobs, and we're willing to work with them.
Yep.
But we had the crazy calls like, do I have to pay my rent? So it did affect us. It didn't affect us as greatly as they put it on the news, though.
Yeah, doesn't it seem like it's always exaggerated on the news, no matter what it is. And I think also, here in Tampa Bay and across the state of Florida, we're insulated to a large extent. Comparing that to other cities, other areas, other states, we did see the highest net migration, 319,000 net migration to the state of Florida last year. So it's it's a well-run state. We've got a lot of assets. We got a lot of good things going for us here. Property management is what we're talking about here with Rebecca Vazquez. What are you seeing on the technology side?
So obviously technology is the way the market is going. We have put money into a lot of different things. As far as the application process, we can look for stuff that isn't right, verify things much better than we used to. But also, as far as self-showings, we can have it on our website. People can schedule showings, 24 hours a day. So say a nurse gets off, she wants to schedule something, and usually you would have to wait for someone to call you back. But they can do it directly on the website, which is great. It works around everybody's calendars. We have self-show boxes on some of the houses where people verify their license. We get their information. They go in, they show it. We text them directly after the box texts us, did you lock up? Do you have questions? It helps with feedback. We get feedback instantly from those because, how did you like the house? So technology's come a long way. Even collecting rents, obviously everything is mostly done online. Not
Yep.
a lot of checks and definitely no cash being passed anymore.
Yeah, I imagine that just streamlines it a lot. You have that, a high percentage, I would think, just going directly into the direct deposits into the bank account of the landlord.
Yeah, the landlords are paid by the 5th through the 7th usually. So it's much quicker. I remember, I've been doing property management a while. We would tell them we'll pay you on the 15th through the 30th, depending on the company. It took a long time to get things through. So it's come a long way.
Yeah, that's great. You mentioned like nursing or some, travel. I hear a lot about this travel nursing industry since in the state of Florida we have a lack of nursing staff and, even doctors and an aging demographic, the baby boomers aging still. Are you seeing a lot of that activity too with a certain, job types?
it's funny because people really expect people starting off, but no, we get people straight out of, med school. We get nurses. Like, you would be surprised at the people that rent. I mean, some of the rents, we took on a $5,000 property. I think we have a $10,000 property. So there's a
Wow.
lot of people that rent. They don't know where they want to live. They're got their first job at a hospital, or second or third, maybe they just want to feel the market out. So you would be surprised at the professionals that rent.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, yeah, that's definitely a situation. Maybe they're planning to get married or planning these different moves. They're not sure if their job's going to relocate them to another area. So they're like, hey, I'm just going to hold off on purchasing. I'll re-sign another 6-month or a year lease, and yeah, so $5,000 a month in rents, $10,000 a month in rents. That's a lot of money in rent.
Yeah, it is. And, travel nurses, they usually do short term, which there's a lot of options out there for them, thankfully, especially here in Florida.
Right. That's what I was going to ask you about next is, a lot of times the Airbnb, the VRBOs, I've had a lot of sellers that have said, yeah, this is perfect for them. I have a great, basically a health system or a hospital that will feed them different nursing staffs, to come in town. But yeah, what are you seeing in that space, like the short-term rentals? Where do you see that going? Because I know a lot of these companies are, a lot of these municipalities are coming at them pretty strong, with regulations and.
They are, because they're competing against the hotels. As far as the taxes, obviously you get the travel taxes here in the Florida. So it is the cities are really cracking down on that, trying to eliminate it. I know even Orlando, you would be surprised, Orlando itself, they don't allow it.
Yeah.
Kissimmee and stuff like that, obviously there's subdivisions that are built around it. So the focus is totally different going from city to city. So you really have to do your research if you're purchasing one.
Yeah.
And we have many people switching because the income is not stable. They have more vacancies because there's obviously so many vacant ones right now. The market is super saturated.
Yeah, it's almost like you missed the boat in a sense, in a lot of ways with that Airbnb.
I do think if you're getting into it right now, even if you go, I had somebody like I said that to someone, and he's like, I see that because I just went to look at some in Orlando, and they're like, we have this as an Airbnb. It's making this much. It's like, why are you selling it? He goes, I saw like 20 of them in the same day. So obviously people are selling them because they're not getting the income that they thought they would.
Right.
I just had a story yesterday where he was doing an Airbnb in Orlando, 5 bedrooms. So they had a party there. It was supposed to have limit of 11 people, but they had a party. A kid ended up drowning. He got a lawsuit. Oh, boy. So he's been through the ringer on that. So, the screening really comes in. If you're looking for an investment, we screen your people. They're not there to party. You're going to kind of know what's going on in the house. So it's scary if you look at the different avenues. But the stable income is what people are looking for right now.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're just getting a quick break there. We're going to come back more with Rebecca Vazquez, HomeRiver Group, property management expert contributor here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Coming up, follow us online. We'd love to connect with you at Brandon Rhymes 1. The YouTube channel has over 2,000 videos now on our YouTube channel at Brandon Rhymes Realty, and you can select almost any category there and see all of our legacy content as well on our YouTube channel. We'll be right back. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
Brandon Rhymes here in studio with Rebecca Vazquez. HomeRiver Group. Property management is the topic today. Before we do, I want to let you know about another hot listing that we've got here in Tampa Bay. This one is on Lake Palermo Road in Waimama. It's 3413 Lake Palermo Road. We've got an executive-style home for sale here. Great opportunity, beautiful home, 34 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bath. It's a Mediterranean-style beauty. This one is located in a gated community, open concept, and a gourmet chef's kitchen, private pool, hot tub, and an outdoor kitchen. Lake Palermo Road in Waimama. 605 Monterey Avenue, Clearwater property. Beautiful home here in Clearwater. You got a pool home that has just a great central location. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2163 square feet, non-flood zone. And it has a circular driveway with a large courtyard, no neighbor to one side. Great opportunity, 605 Monterey Avenue in Clearwater. You can see all of our real estate properties at PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
And Heights Soft Wash is who you want to talk to with all things pressure washing in Tampa Bay. They do such a great job for us. HeightsSoftWash.com. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take them up on those special offers and incentives. HeightsSoftWash.com. Ramin Kazami is the owner. He's a great guy, and he does such a great job with all of our residential or commercial properties, pressure washing the property, the driveways, the fences, makes it look great, and it's going to help your appreciation as well. All right, Rebecca Vazquez in studio here today. We always like to talk about these consumer tips, things to do, things to avoid, what to look out for. What do you have in that space when it comes to the property management side?
So as far as purchasing, I just think you need to shy away from what people are saying online and do some research on the state that you're looking to purchase in. For example, I had somebody who called me. They're looking for 8 to 10% cap rate, looking to buy 2 to 3 houses, and that's non-existent here in Florida. So while it's, it might be in different areas, it's not here, but also houses, people have an idea that they're going to buy something in areas that aren't very nice, fix them up, and get top rate for them, and you really have to do the comps on them. Even buying new builds,
right.
Talk to someone who knows about rentals, because new people going into it, they don't know what the values are, and the salesman is going to sell you if you walk into and tell you way up. So
right.
We then have to deflate the bubble. You're not going to make that. You're actually going to make this. So just do your research on it. Make sure that those rents are possible for the mortgage you're getting, especially because the rates are so high right now.
Yeah, the rates are high, so that's pushing up the mortgage payments, and then the rents are also higher. So yeah, you just got to be careful what area you're buying in, not to overpay. Most people in real estate know that if you're, especially from an investment standpoint, that you make your money on the buy side. So in other words, if I'm going to buy a property and put 30, 40, 100 grand into it to fix it, I've got to know what my numbers are. I got to know what that ARV, that after repair value is if I'm looking at a flip. And a lot of people like to, renovate and rent. I think that's a strong play right now too, Rebecca. Just renovate, rent, and think of it as a long-term hold.
And there's a lot of that, and that's what it's important is the long-term hold, because you are going to get your money back eventually. You might just be making $100 a month. I have people that are losing money, honestly, right now. But they want that long-term hold. So
right.
You really have to evaluate your financial, how you're going into it. We have people who have purchased and they clearly don't have the money to front during that vacancy. So expect at least 45 days for vacancy between purchasing, getting it listed. So you do need to have some money there to, and then if people ask for repairs or if something unexpected comes, you need
right.
to have some money set away.
Yeah, exactly. Those are two areas that the optimistic investor might say, oh, yeah, it's going to be rented fully. But you've got to take that into account. That's an important part of your economic model. You've got to take into account, hey, what if I can't find a tenant, or what if the tenant drags me through? And then you get into the legal side. What if there's a legal dispute?
Right, and that can be very costly. So you definitely have to have some money set back, not just the cost of purchasing the house. And keep in mind for stuff like that, if your tenant loses your job, you might have another unexpected vacancy. We do try to get that money from them. They usually have to pay 2 months to break the lease, but you still may have to if they don't have that 2 months to pay you. Then you might have another vacancy. So just keep stuff set away. Make sure you have stuff in case something happens. Yeah,
and make sure you're screening properly too. Rebecca Vazquez here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. She does property management, and her company is HomeRiver Group. HomeRiver.com is the website. And, even last time I think we brought this up, but in New York City, they are, I can't remember if the rule passed or if it's still a law that's being considered, but they're taking away the landlord's right to even run a background check.
Yes. There's the criminal is, people are trying to get it here. They're saying that it's against fair housing and stuff like that. So it is. They're really pushing back on things. The ability to not accept Section 8 if you don't want to. Miami already runs that. You have to across the board down in Miami.
Wow.
So there's a lot of stuff coming against the landlord even here in Florida.
And what is Section 8?
It's the housing by the county or the state itself. Some of it pays, the subsidized. Some of it pays a portion of it. Some of it pays the entire thing. It depends on what they have. But the good thing about it is it's guaranteed. So some people like that option of it. But at the same time, sometimes the house get more wear and tear.
And I want to take a quick break here to talk about this test scores. I heard this on my one of my podcasts I listened to. This is interesting. Wanted to get to this one in the show. So it's the lower test scores from American students. Check this out.
Math and reading scores for American school children are at their lowest point in decades. Here to tell us more is Daily Wire's senior editor, Ash Short.
The National Assessment of Educational Progress released its annual report based on data from the NAP Federalized Standardized Test, which was administered last fall. The test focused on basic reading skills, and according to the New York Times, it found that 13-year-olds scored an average of 256 out of 500 in reading. Then in math, the same age group scored 271 out of 500. The data hasn't been that low for reading since 2004, and the math scores are the lowest they've been since 1990. While the pandemic appears to have accelerated this learning loss, the year prior to the pandemic also shows concerningly low test scores for both these categories.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, you look at that, 13-year-olds, 250, they're basically 50% on their reading and almost just above 50% on their math. And, you know, we wonder why we have these politicians in power that are getting away with allowing these types of rules and these new laws, these changes to take place. Well, they're dumbing down the electorate. That's exactly what they're doing, and it's a system. That they, if you're for school choice, there's school choice will allow you as a parent to take the state funds and apply that to a charter school, a private school. But you got one party that says, no, we don't want school choice. We're not into that. But all right, I want to get that clip in there. I thought that was interesting today. Rebecca, final thoughts. How do you want people to connect and just final parting words?
A good thing that you just said as far as the schools go, always keep that in mind. People think it's a rental. Who cares? The school district matters with rentals. So definitely keep that in mind.
Big time.
But you can reach me. Our website is HomeRiver.com. My cell phone is 813-810-0807. And I cover the whole state of Florida and Georgia.
All right. Statewide. Georgia, too. Awesome. That's great stuff. All right, Rebecca, thanks for coming in. That's a good topic there. Great nuggets of advice relating to property management. So for all your property management needs, reach out, HomeRiver.com. Of course, ConsumerQB.com. You can see Rebecca's info there on our site, as well as our other expert contributors, 80 different categories we can help you with. And another great show today. I want to thank our producers for putting all the clips together and the show together. Jose, Alex, Nicole, great job. And thank you for tuning in to the show. And please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. We'll see you next time. Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Call